In this lesson we'll be using the file called dogandponyalone.psd, and it's found again in your Chapter 2 Photoshop folder in your Project Files folder. Masking is a technique inside of Photoshop that allows us to quickly build selections based on pixels. When we're using our selection tools to make selections, oftentimes it's hard to see exactly what's going to be selected. Also, using, for instance, the rectangular marquee, you're always going to get solid pixels. You're not going to see necessarily transparent pixels. So if we can take advantage of the idea of masking inside of Photoshop, we can get some more interesting and more powerful selections that we can then use for other purposes. Let's first take a look at Quick Mask Mode, which is a fast way to build selections inside of Photoshop. What I'd like to be able to do is to remove all of the area outside of the horse and dog and the shadow here. I could do this very quickly by using our Select and then by color range. If I click out here in the white area, then I can see everything I'm going to select will be white. The black area is what we're going to call a mask. You can see immediately that the shoulder and the rump of the horse are not going to be selected, so we're going to need to fix that. Click OK. You can see in the marching ants view that we have some missing parts of our selection here. Let's switch to a mode called Quick Mask Mode to fix this problem. Pink isn't the best color to help me see what's going on here. Let's do two things. First of all, we'll change the color to something like bright green. Simply click on that color swatch and then pick a new color. And we'll increase the opacity of the quick mask. Make it to be 70%. And OK. Now let's go back to Quick Mask Mode. Aha! Now we can see some trouble spots, right here and right here, as well as up here on the chest of the dog. One of the great things about the Quick Mask Mode is that it's very easy to repair a mask. In this case, all I want to do is to remove that, so I'll use my eraser tool. Here's my eraser tool, and now I can simply erase the mask. I'm not having any impact on the image. I'm simply going around and erasing these extra green areas that indicate the mask areas that are in places I don't want. When you're zoomed in, you can move your view by holding down the space bar and then clicking and dragging. You can see that I've got this shadow right here, but it's got this white halo. So what I'd like to do is to paint that in with a more diffuse edge. I can do that with one of my paintbrush tools, and instead of using one of my bristle brushes, I'll pick a nice diffuse brush. And now I can simply go along and I can paint right along the edge. Now that's a little bit too hard, I think. So I'll undo. On a Mac it's Command Z, and on a Windows computer it's Control Z. Let's make this quite a bit smaller. I can do that by using my left-hand bracket, which is right next to the P key. You can see that I've gone down to 10 pixels now. And all I want to do is just to kind of squeak along the edge and soften the edge of that shadow. Be careful that you don't hit the hoof. This doesn't have to be perfect, folks. And that's close enough for this purpose. Let's zoom out with Command-0 on a Mac and Control-0 on a Windows computer, and then switch out of Quick Mask mode. Now that I've got my layers panel and give this layer a name. Currently my layer is a locked background layer, so I need to unlock it in order to have transparency. If we double click on it, we can call it Dog and Pony. Once we give that layer a name, it allows us to take advantage of transparency effects inside of Photoshop. Let's go back to the Masks panel. Now let's build a mask based on our selection. To do so, I can click on this button, which is Add a Pixel Mask. Now you can see that the background has simply disappeared. What's happened under the hood is that the background white hasn't actually vanished. Instead, it's been masked out by the selection that we just built with our Quick Mask tool. To prove that, let's go down and look at the Layers panel. Now you can see that the layer here, which is Dog and Pony, has a mask attached to it. You can edit the mask by holding down your Option key on the Macintosh or your Alt key on a Windows computer and then clicking the mask. You can see that this is pretty rough around the edges. So let's leave this and go back to the Masks panel. Hold down the Option key or the Alt key and then click the mask again, and you'll go back to the regular layer. Now let's go to the Masks panel, and you'll see it says Pixel Mask, and what we'd like to do is to refine the edge of the mask by using the Mask Edge tool. What we can do here is to make the edge a little bit more natural. We can adjust the smoothness of the edge, and you can begin to see some of the effects in here, as well as feather it slightly. And this will give it a more natural appearance when we lay it on top of other objects and take advantage of transparency. When we're done, click OK. Great. Now we've got a nice piece of transparent artwork that we can use later inside of this chapter. Let's save this and then close it. Once again, click OK, or if you want, you can not show this again.